A massive striped hide stretches across a cold steel table. At first glance, it looks like any other piece of raw material waiting to be crafted. But this is no ordinary leather. It carries the unmistakable pattern of a white tiger, a rare color variation of the Bengal tiger, and with it, a long history of fascination, value, and debate. In today's world, materials connected to endangered wildlife are surrounded by strict international laws and serious ethical concerns. Agreements such as CITES regulate or prohibit the commercial trade of tiger parts in order to protect remaining populations. That means any legal handling of such a hide would require government authorization, detailed documentation, and close inspection. So how does a raw giant skin, under tightly controlled and lawful conditions, become a finished luxury product? What scientific processes preserve it? What oversight ensures compliance? And in an era when sustainability shapes consumer choices, should rarity still define luxury? This is a story not just about craftsmanship, but about regulation, responsibility, and the evolving values behind what we choose to wear. White tigers often appear almost mythical, bright white coats marked with dark stripes, but they are not a separate species. They are a rare color variation of the Bengal tiger, caused by a recessive genetic trait that affects pigmentation. In the wild, this trait is extremely uncommon because tigers are endangered. International trade involving their parts is tightly controlled. Global agreements such as CITES, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, place strict limits or outright bans on commercial trade in tiger skins and other body parts. These protections are designed to prevent poaching and reduce pressure on already vulnerable populations. In most countries, selling wild tiger skins for commercial purposes is illegal. Any limited handling, research, or government-authorized use requires detailed permits, transparent documentation, and oversight from wildlife authorities. Chain of custody records and inspections help ensure that illegal trafficking does not enter legitimate markets. At the same time, luxury markets have historically placed high value on rarity. Unique textures, striking patterns, and limited availability have long influenced what is considered exclusive. Exotic leathers once symbolized power, wealth, and status in many parts of the world. Today, however, the conversation has shifted. What was once viewed primarily through the lens of prestige is now examined through the lens of conservation and ethics. The subject sits at the crossroads of wildlife protection, global regulation, and high-end craftsmanship. It raises important questions about how industries adapt when cultural values evolve, and whether true luxury in the modern era must also reflect responsibility. Before any processing can begin, legal authorization comes first. In cases involving protected wildlife materials, permitted handling requires formal government clearance, documented approval, and inspection by regulatory authorities. Detailed paperwork establishes traceable records, while chain of custody systems track the material's origin and movement. These safeguards are designed to prevent illegal wildlife trade and ensure compliance with national and international law. Once cleared for lawful handling, preservation becomes the immediate priority. A raw hide is highly perishable. To prevent decomposition, it is either heavily salted or placed in controlled freezing conditions. Both methods remove or stabilize moisture, which bacteria need to grow. Without rapid preservation, the skin can deteriorate within hours. The next stage is cleaning and flushing. Skilled technicians use specialized mechanical tools to remove remaining fat, connective tissue, and membrane from the inner surface. This step requires precision. Excess pressure can damage the fur roots or distort the natural stripe pattern, reducing structural integrity and visual quality. After cleaning, the hide enters the tanning phase. Tanning is a chemical stabilization process that transforms raw skin into durable leather. Carefully measured solutions alter the protein structure of the hide, preventing decay while maintaining flexibility. Throughout this stage, temperature and pH levels are tightly controlled. Even small imbalances can weaken fibers or affect hair retention. Finally comes softening and finishing. The leather is gently stretched, conditioned with oils, and treated to enhance suppleness and durability. Technicians examine the surface for uniformity, ensuring that the natural pattern remains aligned and intact. A final inspection checks both structural strength and visual consistency, confirming that the material meets strict legal, technical, and quality standards before it moves forward. A fully grown tiger hide is striking not only for its pattern, but for its size. A single large hide can measure more than 8 feet from nose to tail. When laid flat, it becomes a dramatic visual display of scale, texture, and symmetry, one reason it historically captured so much attention. What makes each hide even more distinctive is the stripe pattern. No two tigers share the same markings. Much like human fingerprints, every arrangement of stripes is unique. Wildlife researchers even use stripe patterns to identify individual animals in the wild. Through camera photography, that natural uniqueness once contributed to the perception of exclusivity in luxury markets. For centuries, rare animal pelts were associated with authority and prestige. In some royal courts across Asia and parts of Europe, large predator skins were displayed as symbols of strength and dominance. Ownership signaled wealth, access, and power in societies where such materials were extremely difficult to obtain. Today, however, the landscape looks very different. Strict wildlife protection laws and international agreements have sharply limited or banned commercial trade in tiger skins. As a result, any legal trade volume is extremely small and heavily regulated. Ethical concerns and conservation priorities now shape public opinion in ways that did not exist generations ago. Growing global awareness has also influenced the luxury industry itself. Many high-end brands are investing in advanced synthetic materials, plant-based alternatives, and lab-engineered textiles designed to replicate exotic textures without impacting endangered species. In the modern marketplace, innovation, not rarity, is increasingly becoming the new marker of value. Quality control in this field extends far beyond craftsmanship. It begins with international wildlife protection laws designed to safeguard endangered species and prevent poaching. Agreements such as CITES establish strict rules for how protected animal materials can be handled, transported, or, in most cases, prohibited from commercial trade altogether. These regulations create a global framework aimed at reducing illegal trafficking. Modern enforcement also relies on science. Forensic testing methods can analyze DNA, hair structure, and other biological markers to verify a species' origin. This technology helps authorities detect illegal wildlife products and strengthens investigations into trafficking networks. In other words, oversight is no longer based on paperwork alone. It is supported by laboratory evidence. Beyond regulation, long-term sustainability depends on conservation efforts in the wild. Programs supported by governments and non-profit organizations focus on habitat preservation, anti-poaching patrols, and community engagement in regions where tigers live. Protecting ecosystems helps ensure that endangered populations have a chance to recover. At the same time, the fashion industry itself is evolving. Many major brands now invest in synthetic materials, biofabricated textiles, and lab-engineered alternatives that mimic the look and texture of exotic skins. Without relying on endangered wildlife, these innovations allow designers to maintain visual appeal while reducing ecological impact. Consumer expectations are also changing. Buyers increasingly ask where materials come from, how they are sourced, and whether production aligns with environmental values. Traceability and sustainability are becoming as important as aesthetics. In today's marketplace, quality is measured not only by durability and design, but by responsibility. The transformation from a raw giant skin into a finished luxury product is far more complex than simple craftsmanship. It requires layers of regulation, strict documentation, scientific oversight, and careful ethical consideration. Every stage, from authorization to inspection, reflects a system designed to balance tradition, commerce, and conservation. What was once widely viewed as a symbol of prestige and exclusivity now carries deeper questions. In the past, rarity alone often defined value. The more difficult something was to obtain, the more desirable it became. But today, that mindset is shifting. As endangered species face ongoing threats in the wild, Materials linked to them are examined through a different lens, one focused on protection rather than status. Around the world, sustainability standards continue to tighten. Governments enforce stricter wildlife laws. Brands explore innovative alternatives. Consumers demand transparency and traceability. The definition of luxury is evolving in real time. In the end, the story is not just about how a material is transformed, but about how values are transformed. The future of high-end goods may depend less on rarity and far more on responsibility.